At 5:45 in the morning, I received a message that looked like it could ruin lives. It came from one of the smartest people I knew, a man who had spent nearly a year silently collecting evidence against his cheating wife. A man who, after discovering the truth, decided that if his marriage was going to burn, he was going to make sure everyone felt the heat. What happened next destroyed friendships, shattered families, exposed secrets, and turned a successful husband into someone I barely recognized. And the worst part? The revenge worked. But it cost him everything. Before we get into today's story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Would you expose a cheating partner to everyone, or would you walk away quietly? Trust me, by the end of this story, your answer might change. Now let's begin. This happened years ago, before smartphones dominated every second of our lives. Back then, social media existed, but people weren't glued to their screens 24 hours a day. I had a friend. We'll call him Bob. Bob was one of those people who seemed impossible to fool. He worked in IT. Not just the average office tech guy. The kind of person who understood computers, networks, and digital systems at a level most people never would. Calm. Methodical. Logical. The kind of guy who solved problems instead of creating them. At least, that's who he used to be. Bob had been married for several years. They had children together. From the outside, they looked like a normal family. But appearances can be incredibly deceptive. The first warning sign appeared when one of his wife's closest friends got caught cheating. When confronted, the friend immediately tried to drag Bob's wife into the scandal. She hinted that Bob's wife wasn't exactly innocent either. The accusation caused chaos. Arguments erupted. Questions were asked. Trust was shaken. But there was one problem. No proof. And without proof, the situation slowly faded away. Or at least it appeared to. Months passed. Life returned to normal. Until the high school reunion. After that reunion, something changed. Bob noticed it immediately. His wife became protective of her phone. She disappeared into other rooms to answer messages. She smiled at notifications she wouldn't explain. She seemed emotionally somewhere else. You know that feeling when something is wrong but you can't prove it? That's where Bob lived. Every single day. Eventually he came to me. We sat together one evening talking through possibilities. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he was imagining things. Maybe his instincts were screaming the truth. At one point, half-jokingly, he mentioned installing monitoring software on the family computer. We laughed. Then the conversation became uncomfortable, because neither of us was really joking anymore. A few moments later, Bob shook his head. Forget it, he said. Just drop it. Then he looked directly at me. And don't tell anyone. Not even your wife. That was the end of the conversation. Or so I thought. Months went by. Then one morning everything exploded. I was getting ready for work around 6 in the morning when my phone buzzed. A message from Bob. That alone was unusual. What was even stranger was that it wasn't a private message. It was a massive group chat. Family members. Friends. People I recognized. People I didn't. Dozens and dozens of names. Attached was a single link. I stared at it. Something felt wrong. Bob was extremely careful online. The message looked reckless. Almost desperate. I ignored it. A few minutes later another notification arrived. This time an email. Same link. Same bizarre tone. Even more recipients. Family. Friends. Co-workers. People connected to both Bob and his wife. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a mistake. Whatever was happening was very real. So I clicked. The page loaded. And instantly I understood. Bob had spent months gathering evidence. Screenshots. Messages. Video captures. Conversations. Dates. Times. Everything organized like a criminal investigation. There was no ambiguity, no misunderstanding, no innocent explanation. The evidence painted a devastating picture. But what truly broke him wasn't the betrayal itself. It was the way she talked about him. Hidden among the messages were insults, mockery, comparisons, private comments that attacked his confidence and dignity. The woman he loved wasn't simply being unfaithful. She was ridiculing him behind his back. And every screenshot felt like another knife. I immediately called him. When he answered, I barely recognized his voice. He sounded exhausted, broken, and drunk. Very drunk. The calm, logical IT professional I knew was gone. In his place was a man drowning in anger and heartbreak. Between slurred words and emotional outbursts, he explained what he'd done. He'd been awake all night, building the website, uploading evidence, sending links, contacting everyone connected to the situation. His voice bounced between rage and tears. One moment he was shouting, the next he was sobbing. I tried talking him down. I told him to remove the site. I told him this would create damage nobody could undo. His marriage, his children, his career. Everyone would suffer. For a moment, it seemed like he was listening. I heard keyboard clicks. He began logging into the website. Then suddenly, a door slammed. A woman screamed. His wife had arrived. Apparently someone had already seen the site and alerted her. The shouting became deafening. Accusations, insults, years of resentment exploding all at once. I listened helplessly as their marriage collapsed in real time. 30 seconds later the call disconnected. And that was the last normal moment any of them would ever have. The website remained online for hours. Long enough for hundreds of people to see it. Family members, friends, co-workers, employers, people connected to the other man, his family, his workplace, his spouse, everyone. Bob hadn't launched a missile. He'd launched an entire nuclear arsenal. And there was no taking it back. The fallout was immediate. Phones exploded with calls. Messages flooded inboxes. Relationships fractured. Reputations collapsed. Entire families were pulled into a disaster they never asked to join. Yet despite all of this, the person who suffered the most wasn't his wife. It was Bob, because revenge doesn't magically heal betrayal, even when it feels justified. His wife desperately tried to save the marriage. She apologized. She begged. She offered transparency, counseling, anything. For a while, Bob even tried to make it work. But there was one thing he couldn't erase. Not the affair. Not the lies. The humiliation. The words he'd read. The private insults. Those stayed with him. Day after day. Night after night. Eventually he walked away. The marriage ended. But so did much of the life he once had. The confident professional I knew disappeared. He isolated himself. Destroyed friendships, pushed family away, moved far away from everyone who cared about him. The revenge gave him a moment of satisfaction, but it couldn't give him peace. And that's the tragedy, because in the end, there were no winners, only survivors. There's an important lesson here. Betrayal can destroy trust, but anger can destroy everything else. One bad decision led to another. Then another, and eventually multiple lives were left in ruins. Sometimes justice and revenge look identical in the moment, but years later, the difference becomes painfully clear. If this story shocked you, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more unbelievable Reddit stories. And tell us in the comments, if you were in Bob's position, would you have exposed everything or quietly walked away? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.